So Charles Schwab actually just broke one of Warren Buffett's biggest rules when it comes down to company acquisitions. Like many of you guys heard, Charles Schwab purchased TD Ameritrade for $26 billion. And when you think about an acquisition, you think of a buyout, right? Usually you think about cash. In essence, Kylie Jenner, right, was bought out of Kylie Cosmetics for a 51% stake of $600 million in cash. When it comes down to the acquisition of TD Ameritrade, Charles Schwab did not actually pay cash. It was an all-stock buyout. And I wanted to elaborate a little bit more on this, as I think some people might be confused. And one of the biggest reasons that Warren Buffett emphasizes the importance of a company never using its stock to acquire other companies is, if I'm Charles Schwab, I'm in comparison to TD Ameritrade a much bigger and more successful company. So by being able to make that acquisition, big picture, I expect to continue to grow in value. Therefore, option A, I'm able to make a $26 billion cash offer. I pay $26 billion and I can move on with my growth. But when it comes down to making a $26 billion acquisition of TD Ameritrade, as I continue to grow as Charles Schwab and worth over $5 trillion in assets, and for the years to come scale from there, then TD Ameritrade and their original $26 billion in stock options will as well continue to grow. Therefore, it is not viewed in Charles Schwab's best interest to make that initial acquisition if they don't have that cash readily available, as then they end up devaluing their overall stock big picture. But one of the Charles Schwab's representatives actually commented on this, and although they did call Warren Buffett and his investing philosophy very wise, one of the things that they wanted to remind the public is that Charles Schwab does not have the cash that Warren Buffett has. If I'm not mistaken, Berkshire Hathaway has about $100 to $120 billion in cash. Therefore, being able to acquire something like TD Ameritrade for $26 billion is an option because you have that cash readily available. When it comes down to Charles Schwab, if I'm not mistaken, in September, they reported about $20 to $30 billion in cash. Therefore, making an acquisition of $26 billion, not something that's going to be very realistic, as that would be a very bold purchase for the overall stake of their company. And again, I wanted to ask you guys what you guys think. Now that you have a better understanding of why this is such an important rule for Warren Buffett, if you were Charles Schwab, would you still consider buying TD Ameritrade in all stock options, or would you wait a little bit longer to try to build up the cash available so you don't, big picture, end up overpaying for making that acquisition? Let me know in the comment section. But before we end this video, and I actually want to jump into my screen and I want to simply break down the Japanese candlestick, and we have a free PDF for you after this video. I really hope that you guys enjoy. So we've been getting a couple questions about how to read these Japanese candlesticks, or as people like to view as bars, right? And it can be somewhat confusing if you've never seen them before, but I'm actually going to go on the 180-day 4-hour time frame. So I actually made this little PDF, and again, it's going to be available for download with the first link down below. It's a very little simple cheat sheet to give you a better understanding of, the different forms of candlesticks that the stock market has to offer. This is viewed as a hammer. This is called a dragonfly or an overall doji. But this is what I wanted to explain to you. Why are some of them green? Why are some of them red? And why are some of them looking like a little T? So when it comes down to there being a green candle, one of the biggest focuses that I want you guys to have or understand is that when you're looking at this time frame, it might be a little confusing, and you might be wondering, why are some 1 day 1 minute, why are some 1 day 5 minute? So all that means is, first of all, the day just means the span of time that you're going to be able to see these candlesticks with. When it comes down to the actual minute, that's actually the length of each candlestick, and this is something that I don't think a lot of people understand. So right now, for an example, I'm on the 180-day 4-hour time frame. So what that means is this is showing me 180 days of data, and each candlestick represents 4 hours of time. So now that we understand that, why are some of them green and why are some of them red? So what I want you to understand is, when it comes down to the green candlesticks, meaning that it closed at a higher price point than where it opened. Again, when it's a green candlestick, the bottom part of the candle is the overall lows that it hit within that time frame. The peak of the candlestick is the overall high of what it hit within that time frame. When it comes down to that filled bar, this is where it opened at, and this is where it closed at. And again, this can be vice versa for overall the red candlesticks, meaning that because it's a red candlestick, that means that it's losing value from when it opened to when it closed. Therefore, if we saw an open here and it hit highs of here, lows of here, but then closed here, This is why we see the bar, and this represents where it opened, where it closed, the overall highs within that time frame, the overall lows within that time frame, but this is actually where it closed. So let's get real world examples. This is ticker symbol DGAS. Within the first 4 hours of the pre-market session, we can see that it was trading in between 116.60 to highs of about 118. Moving on to the next 4-hour candlestick, you can see that this is where it opened right around 118. It hit overall highs of 126, but at one point it did pull back a little bit below than where it opened, but because it closed at a higher price point than where it opened, this is why we see this big bar here. And because this is a red candlestick, this is where we opened at. It must have hit highs of about 128 within the next 4-hour time frame. It must have hit lows of 122.98. But again, it ended up closing at 125.75. So this is why we have that little bar there, meaning that this is where it opened, this is where it closed, so it lost value. This is why it's red. Now this is the overall highs, this is the overall lows within this 4-hour time frame. That's pretty much it when it comes down to being able to read these Japanese candlesticks. You can do this on the 1-day, 1-minute chart. And again, all this means is, again, this is 1 day of data, and each candlestick represents 1 minute of time when it comes down to the stock market. If I go on the 1-day, 5-minute, then each candlestick represents 5 minutes of time within the overall trading hours. Altogether, if you guys didn't see my recap video, I ended up closing the day at $3,012.47. That was with a total of 19 orders. Again, I did upload a video earlier today explaining in detail exactly where my focus was if you haven't checked it out already. Again, we are the largest YouTube channel in the world for those that day trade in the stock market, and if you want to become a little bit more familiar with what we have to offer, I do have this helpful video playlist that does answer a lot of your questions, but also don't forget to join our free Facebook group. It's absolutely for free. It's going to be the second link for you down below. We have 232,000 members, and we'd love to stay connected. Also, if you guys haven't checked out the Learn Plan Profit group, that's the third link down below. It's literally the only group that gets to watch me trade live every single day. So if you want to see what's included in Learn Plan Profit, click right here. And if you want to see what it's like to watch me trade live, which again, it's something that I offer every day, I trade live only for the Learn Plan Profit group. And if you want to get a taste, I appreciate you guys' time. I hope that you guys learned something new. If you guys did, don't forget to drop a thumbs up. Again, if you guys want to download your free little ETF cheat sheet checklist with being able to have access to the Japanese candlestick PDF, that is going to be that first link down below for you guys. I appreciate you guys' time. And like always, let's make sure that we end the year on a green note. Take it easy, team.